Welcome to a brand new episode of the Yellow Van Stories. I am your host and driver, Bastian. We have been waiting just for you and kept your seat by the window side. Feel free to order any imaginary beverage that strikes your fancy. Fonzie is in first gear already and we are good to go. So buckle up and get comfortable, cause today we're going to Brazil. Here with me today is Leo Santos, a filmmaker and writer, director, and a cameraman from Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. It's a pleasure to have you here, Leo. How are you?
It's my pleasure, Basti. Very nice having you here, and it's really an honor being in your show.
Thank you so much, Leo, for saying that. I did pay you for that, of course, but we will take care of that later.
Okay.
So to start off, first of all, I ask everybody to prepare a drink for themselves. What did you prepare for yourself?
I prepared Caipirinha. It's
very Brazilian.
Yeah, it's very Brazilian, very cheap, very good, the best one.
All right. So you prepared it because it is also one of your favorite drinks?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite. It's I used to say that's a symbol of capitalism here because it's very cheap to make it, and it's very expensive in bars. So I like to do it at home to make it myself. It's only cachaça, lemon, and sugar. Nice, nothing else. I can't imagine why is that so expensive outside.
So, well, I can tell you why, because those bars are trying to make a living, and that's one way to do it. But it is basically it's also a very Brazilian drink because all the ingredients basically they grow outside your house. I mean, not literally, of course, but
sometimes it is close to home, but it's very easy to find the ingredients.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice. I did pour myself a gin tonic, just in case anyone's interested.
Okay.
I don't know why, but lately I've been on a gin tonic trip for quite a bit. I have this gin tonic. The gin is made of, it's made with an orange flavor, super nice. And then what you do add is a slice of grapefruit, and you just pour it up with tonic water, and it's just of course. But it's super nice. Like the grapefruit just makes an amazing difference. It's just so fresh and nice. I'm living off that stuff. I have more than I should right now.
I don't know if you have noticed yet there, but here in Brazil, it became a very common to find gin tonic in parties from some time from now. It's just became a fashion way to. It was just a phenomenon here. Everywhere you go now, not now exactly, but before the pandemic, it was very everywhere. There were gin tonica. It was not everybody that liked it in the past. It is very one of my favorites also. But now, from some time from now, it was very common here. I don't know why. Did you notice something like that?
It became very fashionable.
Yeah. Did you notice something like that?
Not really. I've always liked gin tonic because it's just a nice, it's like a smooth drink. It's nice on the palate. Like it's very drinkable.
Yeah, easy to make.
Which is a great adjective for a drink. It's very drinkable. I just like it. I've always liked it. I don't always have it, but lately, really, because of this mix with this orange gin and the grapefruit, it's just really great. And to be honest with you, I actually did not feel like drinking at all because I had like a video chat yesterday with friends and colleagues, and we were guessing songs online and had to type it in, and we were drinking as well. And I had a little bit too much to drink last night and I still have a bit of a headache, but I thought, I'm asking you to pour yourself a drink. I can't let you drink alone. So here I am having this gin tonic despite my better knowledge.
It's nice, a nice way to not drinking alone, making a podcast, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a way to get together and
Yeah.
pass some time in this crazy time of Corona.
And
Anyway.
you don't feel guilty.
I don't know what guilt means. I have no idea what the meaning of the word guilt is, really.
Nice.
Excellent. So now that we've cleared the alcoholic situation on both sides, where are you right now, Leo?
I'm Rio. I'm Vila Isabel, the neighborhood very famous of the Bohemian side in the past. And I'm at home in my office here. It was my home office before we are all forced to work at home. I used it to work here.
So for you, that looks like that didn't change much. Did you have the office at home before then as well, or did you actually go and commute to a workplace every day?
Yeah, I used to go to a workplace every day, but when I arrived home, I used to use that space to screenwriting, to work in my own projects, not from the company I work for. And I use it to work at home from, 2 decades, something like that. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's not a big change for me, despite the fact of not can be able to finding friends, to go to places, but it's not so big a difference. I'm already used to work at home, to organize my time. Sometimes I work for someone, sometimes I work for myself. So it's not a big changing in my life.
All right. But before it was optional, now it's kind of like you can't escape it. It's the only place you can.
Yeah, I think. I think I've been working more than in the past. Because I work a little bit early, and there's no time of taking the subway to go to work. So I start working earlier and stops later. I'm sure I'm working much more than in the past.
All right. And would you care to just also describe the room to you? Would you care to describe the room to us a little bit? Like what's surrounding you, like some of the items?
Oh, there's a place for books and a couch.
That's always good.
Yeah, and that's it. There's a wall full of my paper projects here, and that's it. This is it. Lots of books.
All right.
Books, coach, and project post-its in the wall.
Lots of post-its. That's
good.
That's always good. Like send yourself out those reminders.
Yeah.
And what is your favorite? Do you have a favorite object in the room, or something where you're like, I really like that about the room?
I think the couch is the best place.
The couch is the best part.
Yeah.
Is it a leather couch? What is it?
No. It was a gift from a friend of ours. It was being used as a scenario of a play, and we were moving here, and our friend told us, "Oh, go there to the theater and get the coach is yours." Oh, thank you.
That's a very nice gift.
Yeah, very nice.
I'd love to get a couch as a gift. Awesome.
Yeah.
So is that where you take your afternoon naps when you can, or?
Yeah, where I read books, and it's a good place to stay. Not a nap. There's a long time that I cannot take a nap.
All right. Okay. So now that we cleared up where you are, just about, and what it looks like a little bit, and what you're drinking, very essential information. I wrote a little, CV is maybe a little over the top, but like a little introduction, so people know a little bit more about you. I'm going to read it out to you. And after that, you will just tell me whether you think that was the biggest load of crap you've ever heard, or whether you say, I can live with that. All right.
Let's go.
Leo is a filmmaker, writer, director, and cameraman from Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. I mean, I covered that in the beginning pretty much, but still. I had the great pleasure of meeting Leo and his wonderful wife, Mabel, at the International Film Festival Ierapetra on Crete in Greece in 2018, and we got along brilliantly right from the start. Leo was running with his documentary film right there, the story of a Rio policeman who abhors the use of guns and violence in general, traveling to South Africa to understand how a country that had been so deeply divided by apartheid had managed to bridge its seemingly insurmountable racial gap, and what lessons this possibly entailed for Brazilian society, a society still deeply entrenched in racial politics. It is a movie that shows us that constructive solutions can be more easily found by moving away from stereotypical interpretations, meaning in this case that all policemen advocate the use of guns as means of power, and by looking at similar problems in a different context, like here the overcoming of racial segregation on another continent and in another society. Turning one's attention away from one's immediate surrounding and therefore breaking one's own subjectivity can be a way to break the chain of hate and anger. This is one of the very powerful lessons the film has to offer to us and had to offer to me. Right there, therefore, rightfully won the Ierapetra Festival Award for this outstanding achievement. And additionally, it won the Award of Recognition at the Impact Doc Awards and was part of the official selection of the Film Festival in Nashville, USA. Leo is politically active in a Brazil progressively undermining civil rights. He holds a firm belief in social and political justice and is therefore willing to fight for his beliefs, even at the expense of his own safety and freedom. All the qualities worthy of anyone's admiration and praise, including my own, of course. Therefore, I'm extremely happy to have you on the show with us, Leo, and welcome you to the Yellow Van Stories. Anything to say to that?
Okay, thank you very much for this introduction. Can you send it to me? It was very, yeah, I've never heard something like that before. I didn't pay you, but I can't do that. So
sure, we'll find a way. We'll find a way. My agent will phone your agent that they'll set something up. No problem.
That's good. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Is there anything that sticks out to you? Is there anything you want to maybe rectify, or can you, would you see that there was, a good representation?
Yeah, it was wonderful. I couldn't. It's very difficult to talk about myself and write about myself.
I know.
But it's very generous from you. Yeah, I know you have a very sensitive look about the world, and that's one of the things that put us together. We have a very similar vision of the world, so that's why I'm very happy to hear that from you.
Thank you, Leo. I'm very glad you liked it. It just teaches me next time I have to be a little more controversial to get a little more of a reaction. Yeah, but I'm glad you like it very much. It's great. I'm very happy. Cheers to that. Have a sip of Caipirinha.
Yeah, that's nice. It's very important to drink something in this apocalypse.
Yes. This is what will make us get through it somehow. Yeah, exactly.
It will make
a state of oblivion.
Yeah, it's easy to burn in hell when you're full of alcohol.
And according to some in the world, I mean, anything with a high, percentage of alcohol is killing the virus from the inside. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be bleach. It can just be really high percentage alcohol, I suppose, as well. So can you tell me, Leo, how do you spend your days at the moment? How is quarantine for you? And is it still on in Brazil, actually? I mean, not everybody knows. How is that working out in Brazil right now?
Yeah, I think the quarantine is shaking our society to show the social difference much stronger. It's more visible to everybody because there are some people that can stay at home, they can work at home, they can continue to get salary, and things are just like it is happening for me, for example. I've got a salary. It was a little bit cutted because the company cannot afford it for a very long time, but they send us home. But I'm sure that's not the reality for most of Brazilians. So for me, I feel kind of privileged to stay here, to have a computer, having reasonable internet to continue my work. So, and I don't know one single person that's completely healthy, mentally healthy, and but I can imagine how the more poor people are suffering. They cannot continue their job. They cannot get money. They have very difficult access to healthcare, to hospital, even from soap and water. People who lives in the favelas here, and I know some people that are suffering very much.
Yes.
So for me, every time that I start trying to complain about the life, or that sucks, I cannot get out of home, I cannot see my people, but immediately I remember people that are suffering much more. They are living the favelas, living in some difficult there are some places here they have difficult access to basic services, and now it is much worse for them. For me, it's as I told you, it's not very tough time, because I'm already used to work at home. But I feel I miss a lot going out, see people, going to the beach, to bars, to the cinema. I miss it a lot, but I know it's just a matter of privilege. That there's nothing that I don't have. I don't have access. No. So I have food in my fridge. I have beverage. I have access to make a lot of things. To watch movies and to read books. So for me, it's a kind of privilege, but I feel I can hear from people very close to me. They are suffering. They don't have access, and it hurts me a lot.
I think this whole crisis is also exposing the differences, the social differences in our societies more. I think that's actually almost something universal. And not to say that it's all the same. I mean, because poverty in some countries is obviously something entirely different than in others. But I think regardless of those levels, I think in every country, yes, it will definitely expose those social differences more, just like you said. That's terrible. At the same time, maybe there's also a chance in that to some degree. I mean, it's very difficult to say. Only time will tell, of course, as always. All right. So tell us, actually, just to just in between, I want to ask you a question, because today I was also, the whole podcast is also about, creativity in the time of crisis, basically, triggered by this whole Corona thing. But because I feel that, at the moment, art and culture is giving me so much, and to keep my sanity. And just yesterday, I discovered this beautiful, beautiful song by Alicia Keys, which is called Good Job. It's basically a homage to, like all the health workers and everything. And it's a beautiful, beautiful song. And if you have that in mind, it really, I'm really not joking. Like I hear it, I cry like a baby. It's amazing. So I love that song very much. Check it out. I mean, you might not cry, but it's very nice.
Probably I will cry. I'm crying for any kind of things.
Well, we will meet after this podcast and we will cry together. How's that? How does that sound?
Yeah, perfect.
Excellent. Shared tears. Shared tears is something wonderful.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, with this long introduction, have you come across anything lately? I mean, that's just one of my many things that I come across. It was yesterday, and today. And it will over the next few days as well, sure. But have you come across a piece of art, something that really deeply moved you lately, that kind of maybe sums it up or gives some relief to everything that is happening?
Wow, that's a difficult question, because I've been
It's a very loaded question, I know. Yeah. Take your time.
Yeah, I've been consuming lots of things, different things I had to read.
I think we all do, yes.
Yeah, I read a book, 800 pages of a very important book here. I wanted to read it a long time, but it scared me because it's very big, 800 pages. And I just read it. It's about, it talks about a slave woman that wrote the memories. She learned to read and to write, and she wrote her memories, and someone found it and wrote a book about it. It's a very touchable book. I think it's changed my life, and I just read it. I'm still shaken by it.
All right.
I can send you the link of the book to you read something about it. I don't know. I think
Happily, very much.
Yeah, and I'm trying.
What is it called again?
Color defect, something like that. I don't know if it's there a translation. Color defect in Portuguese, defeito de cor. It
sounds so nice. It sounds so nice.
Yeah, it's very important art piece of that touched me recently.
All right. Yeah, we'll definitely put that in the description.
Yeah,
for anyone interested in that, of course. And I will also go. Yeah, please send it, because I would also very much like to read it. I'm reading a book on Lenin right now. I don't know, for some reason I've turned to the whole Russian Revolution and everything that followed behind it. For some reason, I seem to be very interested in dictatorial regimes right now. Yes, for some reason, who knows? But that will also definitely go onto my reading list. Thanks for sharing that.
Okay.
So, how does the Corona crisis affect you? I mean, you've already said that you are working from home now. That you are lucky enough to have a desk and a computer to work on, and that is a privilege. And I agree with you. I feel the same way. But how else? Like, does it also inspire you in your work and new projects? Are you working on something that was maybe triggered by the Corona crisis?
It's been very difficult to concentrate, and
we just heard the dog in the background barking. So yeah. I can imagine that.
Yeah. Sometimes I think, why am I writing it? I don't know, not even if I'll be alive by the end of this screenplay.
That's a very dark way of looking at things.
Yeah,
but
everything I write is I start thinking, I have to write it, because if I die in this time, maybe someone get it and will make it for. But I don't really know if something like that will happen. But anyway, here in Brazil,
then you would have a legacy at least.
Yeah,
but have a legacy then.
Yeah.
I mean, that's also good, working on your own legacy. But sorry, just quickly get in there. Are you personally also like worried and scared of the virus, that you might get it?
Yeah, sometimes it's get us. My wife works in a hospital, and she sees people dying every day, and I know that will achieve us. I don't know, not even if we were already infected. I really don't know. Maybe we were already. I hope I had already stuff. But you asked me how it did affect me, and I've been struggling to break into the business for a long time. Almost 7 years. I just made my first movie to 2013. And for all these years, I've been studying, I've been trying to make other things. And here in Brazil, we had a very terrible attack to the culture from the government. So everything that was due to new projects, new films, new series, new screenplays, they were already before the pandemic. And it was completely closed. So it's very hard to break into the business unless you do some crazy stuff for your own or getting together with people. That's why I'm trying to find people who want to write with me. And I've been trying to read some different people from different producers, different screenwriters.
Is there like an art funding in Brazil? Is there like a cultural funding in Brazil for movies and the sort? We had, but now it's less.
Yeah, it's more than 1 year completely closed.
Everything, like
Everything.
all the culture funding.
Every from federal government, the biggest one. We have some in one city, in another city, or of state government, but not from all the country. Now, we had some. We just lived now a very huge movement of Brazilian films in different festivals. The most important festival, and they were all result of a 10 years government investment. They had a development found very important, and we don't have it anymore. Only to people to write, to have their ideas. We were used to be paid to have ideas. That's the perfect found, in my opinion. And we don't have it anymore. We have to write a completely screenplay so as to show someone. And in that time we don't have any money to do it. So we have to do with the time that is at least it should be a profession. I had to be paid for that, and I'm not. So it was before the pandemic, and still now, and I don't know what's going to happen with the Brazilian culture, especially the cinema. The movies here, we had passed through something like that in early 90s. We had a president that, just like Bolsonaro, but he was intelligent. That's the difference. He was not a completely idiot, but he shut up all the film industry. They had the same speech that the film industry were completely controlled by the communists and things like that. And he shut down everything about movies. And Bolsonaro did the same. And I think we are going to, but for other side, we have different technologies arriving, and streaming and things like that. And I hope those different technology look at us and invest on having ideas of screenwriting and things like that. But we are having very tough time here.
I can imagine. I mean, if that just breaks away, so that basically broke away when Bolsonaro took office, right? That's a year ago now. So that was, it seems to have been one of his first, acts of office. Then, kind of.
Yeah, I think it's the every dictator they make something like that to.
Would you call him a dictator?
Yeah.
Bolsonaro. Yeah,
it's a different kind of dictator, because. He was elected, but there were all manipulation of information and for different kinds of institutions. A
lot of dictators have been elected before then. So,
but his behavior. It's like he's the owner of a small shop. Oh, I don't like this. The soft drink. I don't drink the soft drink, so take it off. We are not going to sell the soft drink. But he's not the owner of a shop. He's president of a country. It was an important country in the past. We are not anymore. We are now synonym of dumb people. Yeah, everybody.
I don't see it that simply. I really never see anything this simply, to be honest. I mean, it's very easy to say that, it's a dumb country because they voted for somebody. I do believe it is much more complex than that. It's a working of many things. Also a lot of people nowadays seem to think that Americans are stupid because they voted for Trump. I think there's a lot of forces at play, and it depends really on the context of what is going on in a country, and also on who is creating public opinion. Very much, and it is infrastructures, and that's not always politics. There are a lot of things involved in that. There's also capital involved and so on and so on. So just to say that people are stupid is very, very easy. And I think that happens a lot these days, but I think that is also dead wrong, because then you are just making everybody in a country responsible for one single person. And that is never a good way of looking at anything. So it would be much more interesting to me to really look at the problems of Brazil as a country, where it comes from, how the structures are, why this could happen. And maybe we can actually use this time now to indulge me and the audience a little bit on why do you think that Bolsonaro was actually possible? Why Bolsonaro happened, to put it that way?
Yeah, we have a structure here very well set up. It's like we were a big farm, and we are shared between the farm owners and the workers,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a very well made elite here that controls everything, and
that sounds a bit like a colonial heritage that you are describing there.
Yeah. The slavery is the beginning of every wound that we have here. So every time we can, this elite they control everything, the communication ways and banks and big companies, and they are always looking if they are going to lose something. They never lose anything, never. Since 1500, they never lose anything, and they are always worried about that, about not losing. So they, in the chess table that was settled up, they looked who can lead our project better. Now, since 2016, when our president Dilma Rousseff were impeached, it was because of that elite looked at her and said,
under very shady circumstances, just to quickly add in, under very shady circumstances where actually, there were, correct me if I'm wrong, but kind of new laws created in order to make it legitimate to impeach her, right? I mean, there were no actual legal grounds to impeach her.
Yeah.
But they were created after the fact, kind of.
Yeah, it was a theater that was set up so as to push her away, because of this elite were losing the power in some kind of ways. So they had to they were together to trying to think, how can we pass all our plans of economy and things like that. So they are doing now, but they couldn't imagine there was this pandemic in the middle of it. So they cannot, the economy, Bolsonaro was elected with the promise of making the economy a liberal economy, privatize everything to make rich people richer. That's it. So they are going, we are going to an opposite direction. Because everything is going to be a crash.
Because you had socialist presidents as well, actually. I mean, you had Dilma Rousseff, like you just said, and you had Lula before that, who was actually somebody that was standing for a large change also in Brazil to end the, century-long structure. At least people had those hopes for him. And he also got out of office under very suspicious circumstances, actually, if I remember that correctly.
Yeah. Lula stayed at his chair to the end and was very well seen by people to the end, despite the corruption process that were running. He made a possible.
And they got him in jail eventually as well.
Yeah, because it was part of this chess table, Bolsonaro is only president now because a judge put Lula in jail, and he couldn't run for president. And this same judge were Justice Secretary of Bolsonaro until last week. So, he's a political working as judge, so this kind of
So
promiscuous.
he has an interest. You're
Yeah, yeah,
saying basically, right?
yeah. This
He's
promiscuous.
not an objective. He's not an objective judge. Yes.
No, he wasn't, and probably he will run for president in next election. Probably, and it will prove that it was all a political game. Everybody was making their own movement, and now we are suffering it. Now Bolsonaro wants to control everything. The police, the federal police here, it's like a political police. All his family are involved in corruption problems, and he wants to control the federal police so as not they get caught in any of this process. And that's why I say he's a dictator, because he wants to control every institution, every free institutions. He wants to control it so as he can survive. But I think it will pass. And everybody will wake up and see what a mess it was, allowing a dumb guy, a perverse guy like that, a bad guy. He has a terrible past. And how can you imagine it would be a good president? It's a crazy thing.
I think I'm always very careful nowadays also to speak of elites, because also the word elite has also been used a lot of times, for example, also by Donald Trump, to describe, something of a ruling class, basically, that has to be gotten out, and in a way, therefore, justifying his own very authoritarian politics and also very xenophobic politics and all of that. So that's why the term has been used on so many levels, and also with so much, a different context, that I'm always very careful of using that. But just to, and some people also react, I think, to that a little apprehensively. But we also talked another time, and we both saw this documentary film. I think it is The Edge of Democracy, right?
Yeah, it is.
It's on Netflix. Yes, it is a great documentary about exactly what we were just talking about Lula, about Dilma Rousseff, about the end of the socialist dream, in a way, socialist maybe, but at least, democratic dream in Brazil. And it is a wonderful movie. I'll also put a link in the description, because it is just really very direct, very upfront. And it is very thought provoking. And I think it is painting a very good picture, I would say, of Brazil and its political situation. Would you agree? Because I shouldn't be the judge of that. I think you should be the judge of that, of course.
Yeah, I think it's a very important movie, because it's made from someone that came from that elite. The problem in Brazil is we have a very, as I said, it's a very perfect elite that they control everything, and they make a second class, a middle class, think they are elite as well, but they are not. They are workers. It's very simple to understand that they are workers and they are owners. That the director of Edge of Democracy, she came from a family from that elite, the owners of everything, and she can make this movie from her own point of view, of course, but it's very important to hear that. And I think it's a wonderful movie. It's a personal movie. There were people saying, "Oh, it's a very clear side." Of course, it's a movie. It's not a TV journalism show. It's a documentary. It has to have the director view, personal view. And I think it's very important from someone who came from the family, a rich family, from the constructor company owner, and they were involved with corruption process. And she can talk about it from that side. She had access to different layers of society, because she's from that very important family here, and it's a very important and possible movie to make. I cannot make it because I don't have her money, and I don't have, especially her access to different layers of that part of society, the top of the pyramid.
Yes, but you have access to other ones, and that access is also quite fantastic. For instance, I mean, the whole film right there, you also showed it to a large part of the police force, which is, I think, in essence, pointing out something very important, that namely that with your art, it is very easy to reach the people who think the same as you anyway. You know, I think the goal of anything, if you want to create and want to put something out there that is important to you, I think you should always be actually mainly be addressing the people that might not share your opinion.
Yeah, yeah. I was in a university here, a very important university, showing the movie. It was very, very important time for me. And someone asked me why Brazilian documentary are so good, so well seen all over the world, and not very well seen here in Brazil. I thought, first of all, it's very difficult to make movies, and the culture is very expensive. Making movies is very expensive, and documentaries are expensive as well, but it's much cheaper than a feature film. You know, you don't need 100 people on set to make a movie, documentary.
Yes.
My first movie was with 3 people. You know, a producer, an interviewer, and I. So it's okay. It's not a perfect documentary, but anyway, I were in.
I love it. What's perfect? Sorry, just saying. And it was the first documentary you made, and you won awards, and you were just sorry. I can't let that stand. I have to just quickly go in here. It's like anyone who gets the chance, just go watch it. It's really very beautiful, and it's very eye opening, and it's also very daring as well. So
Thank you.
I cannot let that stand. Really, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yes. But I think, you know, you're tapping on something there as well. I think Orson Welles once said, and I'm just kind of quoting because I know he didn't say it quite like that, but close enough. He said, you know, a painter, he just needs some paint. A filmmaker, he needs an entire army. And I think that's pretty true. You know, like, in film, you need a lot of people to do it well. Not to say that should be an excuse to not do a film. But very often either you have a lot of money or you really have to run and gun it. And you know, and that's also challenging in itself, of course.
Yeah, because you have to make connection with different people, different layers, and even with the people who will watch a movie. You know, they are part of this army. And because if no one sees your movie, no one watch it, it's useless. So we have a very difficult industry, but
which has gotten a lot more difficult now that there's no funding anymore, of course.
Yeah, and everybody's trying to think how we can survive now this next 2.5 years, and how we are going to survive after it, because everything's going to be shaken. The world will be shaken. We are trying to, but I believe we are going to achieve another level of it, because we had something just like that in the past with our military dictatorship. And we had a great music movement here in Brazil. Until now, we have one of the greatest music industries, I can say, of the world. Because if you say about American music, what is American music? You know, it's a country, maybe rap is something like that. But everybody in the world, here in Brazil, we have a very specific kind of music that were raised, something like that was challenged in the military dictatorship, because
it kind of started being created then. This is when it was born, if you will.
There was a lot of censorship, a lot of artists that were hunted by the dictatorship. They had to go abroad. They tried to survive somehow. And it forced those people to invent a kind of music that the stupid military they read it and they don't understand what they are saying. Okay, I think it's possible to
Wow.
visual in the radio, and we are talking about them, calling that they are stupid, they are torturer, and okay, let's do it, let's allow it, because they're just talking, they're singing words unconnected. you know
That is amazing. That is
yeah.
amazing because it kind of brings me also to some other, questions that I have in my mind. Because I mean, I'll be very cheesy for a moment, and I will say, for a diamond to be produced, there needs to be a lot of pressure, right? So, not to say that I wish this pressure onto anyone, not to, in any way glorify dictatorships or anything that is wrong. But nonetheless, also, and this is basically what you were saying, in all this terrible circumstance and in all this inhuman society, the element of being human, also of creating something beautiful, will always be there. You cannot kill that. You cannot make it stop. It will just continue on regardless as well, no matter the circumstances. And sometimes it will even give birth to something different, something new, something beautiful, something that hasn't been there before and couldn't have been there before if it hadn't been for that pressure. So I am also thinking now that you are saying that in Brazil at the moment, the funding has been cut and all of this, that maybe this there's also mixed with the corona crisis. There is also an opportunity. Maybe I'm hoping that as well, not just for Brazil but for the whole world. That maybe there's also an appreciation for art that hasn't been there in a while because people realize, this is what gets us through the day. This is what keeps us sane as well. Like whether it's books, whether it's movies, whether it's music. I mean, what would we do now in quarantine if it weren't for those things, And I think that is something beautiful. Maybe there will also be some way of, another appreciation for that. Not that art is not appreciated, but very often I think the value of it is not understood. Like we share and everything. I'm one of them as well. You have a flat rate for everything. But also the truth is it is not easy for artists to make a living. It is very difficult. And maybe I'm hoping there will be, some sort of also another appreciation for this. Do you think that is at all realistic? Or do you think that's just like, after this, everything will just continue on as usual? It will be like, thank you. Okay. Nothing has changed. What is your take on that?
I think we are going to, first of all, we have to keep in mind that our main objective, our aim is to survive, first of all. We have to survive to pass it. And then I'm sure it's going to shake our culture industry. I think everybody, it was proved now that art it's essential. If you think about everybody locked inside their house, what they are doing, they are watching movies, watching series, reading books, listening to music. Art is essential for our not escaping from reality, but to live their reality with a little bit, little less pressure,
Yes.
So I think it's going to, our first thought has to be, we have to survive all of it. And then I'm sure we are going to make a big revolution, a big cultural revolution, because we are going to learn a lot of lessons about it, about being alone and thinking about what is essential and thinking about how we can live without superfluous stuffs and what is really important. So we're going to learn that the borders doesn't matter. You are there in Germany, I'm here in Brazil, and we are together with the same thought. And people are going to have this lesson much and much more. Of course, it will be a lot of xenophobia, a lot of racial stuff as the other direction. But I think there are more good people. I still believe there are more good people in the world than bad people. So we're going to, for the first time in history, I think we are going to get together, get good people together, and make a real revolution. And I think we are going to pass through a huge crisis since 1929, an economical crisis. But at the same time, we have the resources to pass through it. And I think the cultural industry, it's one of those ways to get out of it, because you have to think about the pure capitalism of demand and need. People need to watch movies, need to watch series, need to read book, and we are going to. We have to look. The government has to look to that important industry. Do we need more cars? No, we don't need more cars. We need more movies. We need more books. We need more music. And I believe, I hope.
Yes, I say yes to that. We don't need more cars. We need more music. We need more beauty, more stuff that really matters. And, we need more dance. We need more of this. We need more free time. We need, like a whole lot of things. I agree with you entirely.
Yeah.
I'm calling out the same revolution. Just saying.
Yeah. Here in my wall, I have 19 projects written here. 19 different ideas between features and documentaries and things like that. 19. I just need money to write it. That's all. Okay. Do you want 19 different movies, 19 different YouTube channel, things like that? Okay, I need money to work on that. I could really work only on that, but I have to have some kind of support, to base
sort of funding.
Yeah. That's
enough funding in Brazil has just been cut, to absolute zero. Do you think there is a chance in that people become a little more inventive? I know filmmakers are already very inventive anyway, to make ends meet most of the time. I know I am, and I have to be, and I know a lot of others have to be as well. But do you think that they will maybe even come up with other concepts, like that there's a chance in that as well to some degree?
Yeah, I think we are going to do that. But first of all,
do you also know how, or do you think of how that would be possible?
We are trying to make kind of movement like that, because we are getting together. We have starting having an important writers association here that never was before. Those people, that associations is fighting for our rights, and
so the artists themselves will move closer together. You think there's something in that?
I think so. I think we are going to get together and to try to think those solutions. We have starting important screenwriting festivals here, for example. I think the screenwriting is the base for the movie industry, especially. The screenwriting is the most important chain, most important part of that chain. We have to invest on people that are having those ideas, to trying to figure out the new talents, trying to invest in different ideas, you have to invest, and then everything else is going to happen, And now we are going to, it happened in USA when they went on a strike. The writers went on a strike. The writers are the most important part of it. And here we are not very well valued yet. We have very few number of people, of well-prepared people to work on it. And they are the same. Mm-hmm. But now we are going to start different courses, different books, or Brazilian books written especially from those screenwriters. And I think that people are going to get together and try to figure out a solution, trying to figure out a way out, trying to figure out that cultural revolution that they're going to face. The people who think the first seed of the story.
That is true. Well, that is basically where it starts, with an idea and then putting it down and then following through with it. And that is done by a single person. Well, also can be done by more persons. And then the army will come into play, that we discussed earlier on already.
Yeah.
But I think that has also like some, something nice to that, to see that, cooperation will then maybe happen in other ways. Maybe, the common passion will just maybe unite people on other levels. I do believe, because you spoke about the revolution earlier, that I wholeheartedly support. Like, if it means more art, more dance for everybody. I do believe the good people, yes. I don't believe, though, there are bad people, in the sense that I do believe most things are really just a matter also of socialization. And I know that's a very big debate to have. But I think I see that in a lot of places. Like, I see it everywhere. That's kind of going back to, whether a country is stupid for voting for a president. I think so many things come together. And this is, if you believe that every human being has a great story to tell, then that includes everybody. Also somebody that is seemingly maybe at first glance a bad person. I think to know all is to understand all. I really, really believe in that. Therefore, I would just, hope that all the people that, have the an interest in doing things together and to think in terms of community, that they will develop the power in their art and storytelling to bring everybody together. That is the revolution that I would personally like to see. And I know revolution is a super big word. And I'm not taking it entirely seriously, but for what it's worth, yes, a change, a beautiful change. And I think there is a chance of that maybe in this whole crisis.
This actual crisis is going to bring the spotlight for, it's just like an X-ray for good and for bad. It's going to show the best part of us and also the worst part of our society, and it's happening now.
Yes,
it just
I
happened.
Can relate to that entirely.
And I think it's going to be, we are not in the peak of the crisis yet. It's going to happen a lot of bad things in the close future, but we are already seeing that the selfish people who's going out of their home without needing, just to jogging, just to ride a bicycle because they want. Because, I cannot stay at home. Okay, man. Nobody likes to stay at home. But there are some people that think they are more special than others, and they just break the quarantine. There are people that are keeping the maids in the home working for them because they cannot wash the bathroom. They need someone to make the food. We have a very slavery culture till today here. We are one of the few countries in the world that we have a different room for the maid. I don't know if is there somebody in the world that has that have
South
it.
Africa has it.
Yes,
South Africa has it as well. But which is why you went there to make a movie, because there are very obvious similarities. Yes.
Yeah, and perfect. We think it's normal to have a place like that, to the maid that lives very far away. And people are keeping those people in their house. The first lady to die of COVID here in Rio was made from a house that her boss went to vacation in Italy, and she came with the COVID, the coronavirus, and infected the maid, and the maid died. she lived in a favela and probably infected a lot of people there.
Mhm.
So this crisis is going to show the best of us, our solidarity, our friendship, and everything that we are good at, but also is going to show the worst part of our society.
I mean, also you said, and I think in a previous conversation we had, and I think this is also something that stayed with me very much. Um, you said that, you're not really doing anything, like it hasn't inspired any projects for you personally, now that have anything to do with COVID-19. But you said what it does, because it brings out the social distances, it amplifies the social differences in our societies. A lot of the themes and topics you're working on are already brought a lot more to the surface, so that it'll maybe be a little easier to address them as well, because there will be a general sensitivity to it more than before. Maybe did I say that right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. In the very recent past, we had something not as bad as happening now, but we had a very difficult election. It was 2014. It was the most difficult election we had until now, but I use it to say that shake it our society, and then we started to discover who is the essential part of everybody. Since then, I always were wondering how can uh, an Arabic watch to someone and say, oh, okay, you are Shiita, you are Sunnita, and things like that. But now I can tell you that I can see a Bolsonarist, as we call, coming from 1 mile away. I can I can see someone coming and say, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I vote for Bolsonaro." And we had since 2014, we have this kind of segregation. We have this kind of people started figuring out the way they want to speak. And they found in Bolsonaro the perfect representative of what they always think about it. It's not something new. They just got someone who has courage to say the many bullshits they. I'll say sorry. First beep.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to beep that. I said
Yeah,
crap early on as well. I said it again
okay,
now.
all right.
Let's see. Let's
I,
see.
I thought I
Let's see
had.
if I keep this podcast PG. I'm still not entirely sure about that. Anyway.
Okay, because it's difficult to talk about Bolsonaro and don't say a bad word. Very difficult, man. And and I
You've
think
done very well so far, though. Just a quick heads
okay,
up. So far, you've done very well.
and it's. I think that is it. It shaked our society. We have food here that is. I don't know how to explain you. It's with flour. We call it farofa. After I can send you to research. And when we shake,
Gladly.
yeah, and when we shake it, and the small part of it comes to the surface. I use it to say that here we shake it our society farofa, and now we can see
I'll
what.
put a Wikipedia link in the description as well for
Yeah,
Farofa.
yeah.
Yes.
Once you come here, you're going to try farofa, and you will understand what I'm saying. And it's we shake it, and we really can see for the first time since our colonization. After the colonization, when they put away the slaves here, the end of the slavery, it was it became a very uh, dangerous process that became until now that was very that is the mixed society. Sorry,
Hmm.
and oh, we are all the same, we don't have races, but it was completely the opposite. We are a very racist society, and we passed from centuries and centuries trying to do something like a makeup to that, And now we have again a possibility to show to everybody, no, we are a racist society.
And it was a racist society before Bolsonaro took power, obviously.
Yeah, and it forced this process, because when you look at different places that suffered same things that we have, like United States and South Africa and lots of places like that, we have a very clear racist society. You know that you are racist because the things are need is clear for everybody. When you see a place, okay, it's a black restaurant, black person restaurant. Oh no, this one is white people restaurant. And here we have it very, very. I don't know the word to say that, but it was not very clear. It was a very shade this racism. And now,
so there was no official segregation like in South Africa, for instance, where you had apartheid, and where you had also in the United States, where you had places that were just reserved for whites. But we all know that segregation is not something that has to be official. There can be segregation just in, also like in South Africa still, the truth is also still a lot of the black population is still very poor, and some part of the black population has also gotten rich, no doubt about that. But also generally the white people are still, they're not living in the townships, they are usually also better off. So there's segregation there on a financial level that is also on a racial level, for instance. So I suppose that's also something happening in Brazil, right?
Yeah, perfect. Just like that. Now we have a spotlight inside these differences as well.
Mm-hmm. Through the corona crisis.
Yeah. I think it was before, I think just when Bolsonaro was elected, but now it's that spotlight is higher. People are dying in the hospital, are more black people here. They're less infected, but they die more. So, okay, what happened? If we have a legacy on this process or this crisis, is that people are going to wake up to see that they are not the elite. They are not we are not the same. It's like an Indian caste. I don't know, and we have different positions in our society, and I think the legacy is going to be something like that. Okay, I don't belong to Bolsonaro's class. I don't belong to those political class. I don't belong to the same level as them. They are in a level. I am the other. I have to get together with my own people. We have to think that we have to fight for our rights. I think our major sin here was thinking that our right was guaranteed. It's not. We have to fight for it every election, every year, every day. You have to fight for it. It's not given to us. Not especially for poor people, for black people. We have to watch it all the time, because the first aim of our Brazilian elite, the perfect elite, is to take off the rights of people, the poor people, the black people. They cannot lose anything. I keep it into my mind every day. Those guys, they cannot lose not even a penny, not even 1 cent.
Yes.
The banks,
every penny counts.
Yeah, and every penny counts. Yeah, perfect.
Do do you think those people, I hate saying that. I hate saying that. I hate
Yeah,
myself for that, actually.
they have this.
I mean, because it's just adding to this whole, us and them, and that's really not solving anything in our world, I believe. But, sometimes it's difficult, to speak of it differently. But would you say that, like people living in favelas in Brazil, don't you think they knew that they were a different class to Bolsonaro beforehand? I mean, do you think they need a reminder? I mean, isn't it quite obvious? I mean, they live in sometimes really terrible circumstances. There are gang wars going on around them also very often, from all that I know. If I say anything wrong, please correct me. But, it's a different reality there. I don't think they needed COVID-19 to remind them of that, right?
Yeah, you're right. But here we have.
No, I don't want to be right. Don't get me wrong. This was a question, even though I didn't make it sound like a question. But yeah, I just wanted to hear your take on that, like how that would change things for them now being confronted with this reality as well.
It's a very different society here because we have, for example, I can give you an example in the most part of the favelas.
Mm-hmm.
They are Christian drug dealers.
Mm-hmm.
You have Baptist church and different universal church. I don't know if you know what is it, but they are the drug dealers. The chief of the mob, they are Christian, and they don't allow in that favela the African religions, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Christian drug dealers. We have
Mm-hmm.
people that think they are elite living in favela, not in favelas, but in favelas it's a little bit more difficult to have this thought. But there are some people that think our elite represent them. They were forgotten about different governments for a long time. Even in the socialist governments or kind of socialist government, the
Lula
favela,
and Rusev.
yeah, the favela people were never lived real peace. The only part of the government that entered in the favela were the police or the army. That's a little bit crazy here. You only use the army here to get into the favelas. They don't have healthcare. They don't have basic issues. They don't have water, and the only the only government that they know is the police forces. It was since everywhere, since the slavery. We call it, sometimes here in the past we had, and we have until today, we have a place that we call it Quilombo. It's the
Mm-hmm.
place where the slaves, when they ran away, they went together and stayed in that place. In the bush, in the middle of nowhere, was a place that they could reorganize and survive. We still have Quilombos to today, since that time, the black people that live together in the place. And I used to say that favelas are the modern Quilombos.
Mm-hmm.
They are apart from the rest of the other part of the society.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy because those people, they had never, those people, as you said, they
I
they
know. I know. I
never,
also do it so often, and every time I do it, I regret it. Anyway.
yeah, they had never a real representative from them in any kind, in any sphere.
Mm-hmm.
So the first time they had a real one from someone that was born and raised in a favela, a real representative of them, it was murdered. That's Marielle. She came from the favela. She was raised there. She knows everything about it, and he went to the politics. She would be running for Senate, from the Senate here. Senate. She would become a senator, and she was murdered. So our elite all the time they are saying to us, "Don't try it. Don't try to come to the other side."
But you see, this is where exactly the problem lies. One, this is why I was specifying on elite earlier on, because this is what makes it so difficult, and also for anyone to really keep up to date what is going on, or to have a complex picture of it, because everybody's using the elite. I remember, like I said earlier, Trump is using the elite. Bolsonaro was talking also about the elite. We have to remove them from power. So everybody's throwing that word around. Making it serve their own agenda. So at some point, you don't know who the elite is. You just know the elite are the bad guys, and we have to get rid of them. And they exist for the ones on the right just as much as for the ones on the left. And they serve as anything to justify whatever bullshit. Now I have to beat myself then if we want to keep this PG, which the chance of that grows slimmer and slimmer. I believe it makes it very difficult. And it makes language very powerless as well, to some degree. And they know that. And now I say they again. These leaders, they know that, who throw words like that around. And it makes it so difficult for us to talk about it then as well, because we fall in the same trap.
I think it's also a lack of understanding of our side, for progressive people. Because we should learn with them.
Yes, I agree entirely.
How can we speak easily to those people? Yeah. I think it's also easy to understand. I can say to someone who thinks that he's elite and ask, okay, if you spend 1 year without working, only traveling, the money is going to work for you? Oh, no, I have to work. Okay, welcome to the work class. Welcome to the West Wing side. Yes. You are a worker. You have to fight for your rights. We had a kind of a different time here that we were wondering how can we achieve working rights and things, something like that. But from 3 years from now, 4 years from now, it was like earthquake. We lost all our working rights, all of it. We lost all of it. Everybody here nowadays, we have to open your own company to work for, not everybody, but most of people. I had to do that. If do you want to work for me? Okay, take you're working. You are going to work here. Work from this time to that time every day of the week. Okay, but you have to open your own company. You're not my employee. You have your own company, but then
you're not protected. You have no workers' rights.
Yeah, not even kind of protection. And if they want to fire me now in the middle of the crisis, they can. But and then nothing is going to happen because I'm not their employer. They can do whatever they want with me, and it's okay. I sign a paper saying that I have my own company and I don't belong to them. But actually,
wow, that's that's just, it's also showing the magnitude of that a little bit. Also, listening to you now, it's just making me aware. We have, I think the world to some degree, I see that as an opportunity, as a chance as well. We share this crisis because it is a pandemic after all. So it's something that's global. At the same time, also in talking to you, I also realize how different nonetheless it is in different countries, because here in Germany, where I am right now, we don't really have a political crisis, as much as you can have a political crisis. Obviously, we have different parties. Some of them, have a little differing opinions. But actually, in this pandemic, everybody's kind of speaking pretty much with one voice, and they do what seems to me quite, sensible.
Must be wonderful living in a democracy.
Yes, that's actually exactly what I'm trying to say. We take that for granted, but we shouldn't, because it is a really big privilege to be doing that. And we also very often get caught up in politics here. But what it shouldn't do is also, it shouldn't just show us, oh, we're privileged. And we are, we're so well off. Okay, great. Okay, let's, that's nice. But at least I'm hoping that maybe this can also show us that it's not the same for everybody, but it's also showing that, we are actually in essence in the same boat when it comes to these things. And how can we make it so that we are more sensitive towards each other's needs also in this, and not just in our country, but the world over?
We when you the view that I have in this question is something like that. When you are in Germany, I've never been there. I wonder when I can know your country and things like that. But when you
have to come here and see snow for the first time. Sorry.
Yeah. Of course.
We said that, right? That's still totally on. Just saying. Yes, please continue.
When you have something that seems like Nazis, the Nazi.
The what?
When happens something like the Nazi party, if there's something like that's happened there that seems a little bit like a Nazi behavior.
Nazi behavior, yes. Now is a good time to introduce an instrument I'll be using a lot on this show. It's a kind of post-commentary to smooth out the many mistakes I'm going to be making along the way. But hey, I did warn you. I said I'd be learning on the job, right? So obviously Leo was talking about the Nazi party and the Nazi history, and I just didn't understand it at the time, which is quite unfortunate considering my German background. My apologies to you, my dear Leo, and to all of you out there. And with that, let's return to what Leo had to say.
Yeah, Nazi behavior. All societies are against it at the same time. You don't allow something like that to happen again. When you go to South Africa, and if something like the apartheid happens just a little bit, everybody going to out of the streets. If you ask for us for us South African, what's the birth of the social problems today, they know it's apartheid. Here in Brazil, we don't have it. We don't have it. We have it, but we don't know. Our society doesn't know. It's the slavery.
So you would say that not a majority in your country would say it like this and put the finger on the wound and say slavery is responsible for a lot of the social indifference and racial indifference that we have.
Yeah, it was a process, was a project of our high upper class. Mm-hmm. They knew that they had to abolish the slavery because it was abolished in all over the world in the end of the 19th century, and they had to do that not because of international pressure, because the slaves, the black people here, were starting fighting for landing, for work, and they, as our elite doesn't lose, never, not even a penny, not even a cent, they abolished people and never talked about it anymore. Mm-hmm. So we are still living under that cloud, but we don't know. We don't talk about it.
So you mean a majority of people wouldn't say that a lot of problems in Brazil result from slavery?
No, they are talking. They are saying about corruption and lazy people because of most of all we're going to say about corruption. It's because it's a result of slavery. Because our elite, the top class, the upper class, they never lose. So the corruption has to do to it. Since when we were a colony here, the police worked only to protect the empire. They work for money from the bakery has to pay to investigate a robbery. Someone has to pay that. It's in our culture. It's in our blood. It's since the beginning. It has to do to the colony system and the slavery. Everything that you're going to talk as a problem here, we are going to start in that time,
The most important thing is always, it's not to understand the symptom, but it's also to understand the cause. So if, and maybe this is where art comes in as well. You said for change to happen, people, we as people, we have to understand, the broader context and also the cause. And sometimes the cause lies very far away in a distant history, actually. Very often, I think it's always very good to go back as far as you can to understand any problem, because that will prevent you from coming up with very easy solutions and also very stereotypical ways of looking at things and people. And I think this is also where art can be an amazing mediator to tell those stories and to put it maybe together in a different perspective, so that in your particular case now, for instance, people can understand that a lot of their societal structures, the struggles, the racial hatred also, I think it's safe to say, comes from that. And in putting the finger on it, only then can you also maybe move away or find a new way of approaching it, right?
Yeah, the first step of curing a wound, a disease, is to make a diagnostic. As we are living now a pandemic, you have to understand, you have to know that you're suffering that disease. The first step of trying to reach a solution for a problem is knowing the name of the problem, knowing what it causes. And we are not living that now in our society. Brazil became a big wound. What happened if you have a cut in your arm and don't treat it? It will become worse and worse and worse, and you have to feel that pain all the time. And now we are feeling that pain, but that's no problem at all. Brazil is a cancer called slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we suffer that in all layers of society. We have we call it's a poor translation, but we call it small power. Every time, every opportunity that you have to show your power to someone here in Brazil, you'll do it. Mm-hmm. So it is it's a result of our slavery process, as our slavery days, and we are that disease. We are that problem that's still open and it's filthy, and it marks every layer of our society.
So now that we have put the finger on it, and you have, pointed out slavery, also we have, you've taken us on a bit of a journey through political reality in Brazil right now, and what it means to be living in Brazil right now. Now, for me, a very interesting question is, how do you see your role as an artist in Brazil right now? Like, where do you put your focus, and what makes you, carry on with what you are doing?
I try to show in my work all the time that we have this open wound. I like, but I need to show everybody. For example, if you go to somewhere, Africa taught me that every time I enter in a place, I count how many black people are there. Doesn't matter if it's in a supermarket or a fancy restaurant or in a bus or the subway. We have an interesting thing here. We have only, I think it's the most ridiculous subway line here, but we have one to the richest part of Rio, and the other line for the poor side of it. It's amazing, the shocking of the reality. And both line goes to downtown, and if you take the subway to one side, the end of the 5 o'clock in the afternoon or 6 o'clock, if you take the subway to one direction, most of people inside it were going to be black. If you go to the other direction, everybody inside the subway is going to be white. It's
All
amazing
right.
that, yeah, the Africa opened my eyes for it, because I went there to different places. There's no officially the apartheid anymore, but it is the kind of a social apartheid. Black people cannot afford to go to some places.
Yes. It doesn't have to be official policy. You know,
Yeah,
that's also what Malcolm X said, for instance, that I found that very interesting, when he visited one of the New York, what do you call it, suburbs, at the time. I don't remember exactly when it was, but he also said, in New York, you think you are so much, more liberal than, the people in the South and Alabama and so on. But look around you. This is an entirely white neighborhood. There's
yeah,
not one black person around. So you
yeah,
can pretend all you want that you are better, but you are not. And he really put the finger also on something that happens too often, where you're so self-righteous, and you just don't see, the splinter in your own eye. And so you don't have to have official policy. A lot of other things come into place: economic, politics, and so on and so on. And very often it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. The people that have little, they will struggle and will remain to have little. And the ones that have a lot, they will have a lot, because capital beats income all the time. And yes, and this is how you can also make racial segregation a continuing and existing problem, of course. So what
yeah,
you're describing in South Africa is nonetheless something that happens the world over as well, I think.
yeah,
And it's not always color, and it's not always race, but it is very often also income. Just very often they are also connected.
yeah. We have here. We can say that poor people lives in the favelas, but most of them are black people.
Yeah.
We have different kind of police here. I study very much this kind of relationship. I have some friends that are policemen, and they taught me a lot, and I study a lot of it. We have different policies from different places in our city. We have a police that just look like an army. They have tanks. They have helicopters. They goes inside the favela and shoots from from the sky.
I've seen that on TV, and I don't even want to imagine what that must feel like to actually have them march into your neighborhood. I mean,
My second movie is it's a short documentary. It's about it. I like that movie a lot because it was my second one, and I made it completely alone. It was not.
wow.
Yeah, it was not even three people. It was only me. And but I think,
Nothing even resembling an army, basically. You were
but
like just Karate Kid, like winging it himself.
yeah, something like that. And it was very very nice experience, and it shows the different way of. I showed in that movie a recording from inside a helicopter from the police shooting a car uh, at night in a favela. And the other side, I put in a friend of mine who was under arrested in an operation that was similar to that. Not that one, but in the past, in 1994, he was under arrested just because he was in a favela. Police came inside and started shooting. He was shot by a machine gun twice, and he went to the hospital. And then the guy who shot him decided that he was the boss of the place, and he was 9 years in jail just because he was in the favela. He was not carrying a gun. He was not with drugs. He was with no. He just ran
Because he was standing in the way of a bullet, basically.
Yeah, yeah, because he was black. He's black, and he decided to run because people start shooting. They arrived shooting.
Which anybody would do if you see the police come into a favela. You have to fear for your life, right? So nobody would.
It happens every day here. And the policemen, they have already a kit, a small kit with a gun and some drugs and a radio to put in the hand. If they get a student, okay, that put this guy as a bad guy, put his gun in his hand and put these drugs in his pocket, and okay, they have the kit already. It's terrible, man. It's due to the slavery at the same time.
Wow.
They cannot come to my neighborhood here or near or in Copacabana and shoot people on the street. They would never do that. They would never do that, with the risk of getting some important guy, a rich guy, something like that. But in the favela, it happens every day.
The best possible idea that I have of life in a favela is the film. Brazilian film, amazing film. Won a lot of, what is it? God, something.
City of God.
What?
City of God.
City of God. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Wow.
It's amazing. It's one of my favorite films of all time.
It is an amazing film and an incredibly sad film.
Yeah. It's perfect. It's perfect movie because it shows it since the beginning what happened with people. People were removed to that place. It's wonderful. It's almost a documentary.
So also from you who know what reality is like in favelas, you would say that film is just an absolutely apt representation of what is going on there and what life feels like in the favelas.
Exactly. Yeah, it's amazing. It's just like it happened. It's based on a book. Yeah. It's perfect one. The only difference is that the man who wrote it is white actually, but he lived in the favela. He knows everything about it. But it's perfect. I read the book also. It is amazing. It's almost a documentary.
Wow. Because I think I just want to quickly revisit that. It brings it back into my mind, like, making things and making films that communicate a reality to people that don't live it, and also speak to people that don't always share your opinion. I wanted to go back onto this story of your film right there. You also showed it to a large part of the police force, which is, I think, in essence, pointing out something very important, that namely that with your art, it is very easy to reach the people who think the same as you anyway. I think the goal of anything, if you want to create and want to put something out there that is important to you, I think you should always mainly be addressing the people that might not share your opinion. And I think you have done exactly that. Can you tell us a little more about that? How you did that with Right There, and a little bit of the context of that?
Yeah, when I'm friend of Beto, the policeman, since 2006, and I learned a lot with him, and we became very good friends. We think about making things together all the time. And once I told him, the police works based on prejudice. The main character of policemen here, or I don't think only here, but anywhere in the world, is prejudice. You have to look at someone.
Like racial profiling as well, or profiling general, right?
Not only, it's most based on racial issue, but you have to, they have to watch someone in an airport, on a road, or in a street and say, okay, this is a bad guy.
Yeah.
I know this behavior is from a bad guy. I have to stop him. It's the main character of a policeman. You have to and he was shocked. He was, okay, that you're talking, that's what you are saying, it makes sense. I didn't realize that I work with prejudice, prejudice were my first instinct. And I think it's about it has to do with all the human race. You know, you look at someone and you think that you know that person at the same time. I know someone walking, and
Yes.
oh, I know him. I know who he is. Who he.
Yes, we all have prejudice in us, I believe. Absolutely. I think I don't want to, I mean, I'm just guessing here. I guess that is probably also something biological, maybe the fight or flight thing. Maybe that is some biological response mechanism to some degree as well, to suss out our environment and to judge it as fast as possible. I think we all share that. I think it's very good if you're very much aware of that, though. And this brings me to something friends of mine said the other day, which is still staying with me. They said, don't trust or don't believe everything you think. And I think that's excellent. So because as long as you keep that in mind, it will help you to check your prejudices at least, and maybe keep them at bay as much as you can.
Yeah,
and
I
then you
agree.
can move over and bridge over, and then you can do something like you did and show this movie to people where you had also prejudices towards them because they were policemen. And nonetheless, you decided to take your movie and to show it to them and created another dialogue, a new dialogue that otherwise wouldn't have been possible.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I'm used to say that I could never be a lawyer, a court lawyer. For example, I'm addicted to court
Your
movies.
films are too good. Don't become that. Just continue making films.
Yeah. I'm addicted to court movies. I love John Grisham books, and I love this kind of tribunal or judge things. But every
The
time
Chamber, I read that as well.
yeah, it's wonderful. And all the time that I watch a movie or read a book like that, and it's attorney, the lawyer of the man who was arrested there, to say, okay, this is happened, something like that and that. I agree with him. And then the prosecutor,
Yes.
but
The Chamber also very much about racial issues.
I agree with you as well. So I'm all the time open to listen to different points of view. I could never be a lawyer or a jury, something like that. I agree with both of you. What can I do?
Yes, that is. I can relate to that. Actually, another great book. Just because I'm thinking about it, if you haven't read it yet, when we went, because we also spoke with John Grisham and the Chamber, and also racial, segregation and so on, is To Kill a Mockingbird. I only really read that a year ago. Have you read that?
Which one?
To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee.
Oh.
You should read it. It's a fantastic book. You should read it. It's a great book. It's a fantastic book.
Okay.
Just while we're on the topic, it is racial hatred in the United States, but it's a fantastic book. It's really very, very nice.
Oh, I haven't.
I think a lot of people hate it because they had to read it in school, so, and a lot of the times when you read books in school, you don't have the fondest memories. I was lucky enough not to read it in school. So I liked it very much. Harper Lee is her name. I'll put it out there for you. I'll also put it in the description. Wow, this will be a long list of show notes. Anyway, I have to put in an extra shift for that.
All right.
All right. No, but I really admire that. I really, really mean that. I really admire you going to the police and showing the film to make them aware of a problem and therefore help in the dialogue and, identify a problem. And I think there is a lot in that. And I do believe art can help to mediate in a big way. I think that is one of its main things. It should be doing that, like keep a conversation going and open a dialogue. And you did exactly that, and really in a wonderful way. How was the reaction in the police force after showing the film to them?
I've shown in a congress, a policeman congress in Northeast here. Mm-hmm. It was an amazing experience, actually. because as I said, I don't have I didn't want to protect one side or another. I just had it in my mind. Policemen, they have the prejudice as a main character. So that's why I'm going to lead my work in that direction. And it was amazing. It was well received there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was very I had a very good compensation of being able to show it from northeast to south of Brazil. That was it's a very complicated area here, very racist place. They are it's very white place, from immigration, Italian and German immigration, that became the worst part of our elite here. They live in small towns and they are all very close to their community, and they think they are the the upper class, but they are not. They are workers, as I am. But it wasn't the right there wasn't a festival there, and I couldn't be there because it was in the complicated time here, and I couldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
But the organizer of the festival, he told me that it was one of the most well received movies in the festival. I was very happy and I shone in a favela, and I shone here in a university. I was really, really proud of it.
And you should be. You should be.
Yeah. A lot of different people watched it. One guy in my premiere here, the guy told me, I didn't know the guy, but a friend of mine taken him there in that premiere, and the guy told me, I loved your movie, but I thought there was a lack of hate on it. You should put a little bit more hate.
Wow, that's an interesting feedback. I mean,
yeah.
everybody who knows you would be like, "Yeah, man, that's not really what Leo does." Like, just
this movie that I'm writing, this screenplay, I think I put a little bit of hate on it. I think we need it. We need it as a society in some point, because we have the slavery and we left it pass away. We had a dictatorship and we just let it away. That phrase that the guy told me, I think it became a little bit sense in the fiction, because in fiction, Aristotle told us about the catharsis. I don't need to kill someone, but my character can.
Yes. I agree. I think that's a very strong concept, obviously, in all of art.
Yeah, and we have here.
If Aristotle said it, I mean, it's got to be true, right?
Yeah.
Who's gonna mess with old Aristotle? I mean, really.
He said that we need it. We need to watch those kind of things so as not we do those things. Someone.
I do actually agree with that. In that sense, art can also be evolved. For things, absolutely.
So I'm putting a lot of hate in that new job that's about mafia, Brazilian mafia, that has to do with military dictatorship and things like that. So I think I'm going to put a lot of hate on that.
The way you said that, and the laughter afterwards was quite convincing, I have to say. I was imagining you with your cat sitting on your lap now, and you're stroking its head just ever so slightly,
Something like that. I will.
That image is going to stay. That image is going to stay. Just saying. I cannot unsee that. It's very interesting. I'll be it'll be very interesting to see that. I will, yes, please let me know when that's done. I know you have what do you say, 19 screenplays lying around at the moment?
Yeah, I've got 19 ideas.
Wow. That's a lot. I mean, you're an idea machine.
No. Yeah, that I want to live for it. The summit for
I
it.
want to live forever because I want to
Yeah.
make all these films.
No,
That's
no,
motivation for your own life extension. You see, there you go. I have too
okay.
much. I have too much lying around. I can't go. This has all to be done.
Yeah.
Um,
So one
so
day.
so can I just quickly ask you again because I got lost on me a little bit. Like, what was your reaction at the police congress when you showed the film specifically? What did they say there?
It was
I mean,
very
mixed, I suppose. Of course,
it was very good because I show a different kind of policeman. This friend of mine, Beto, he was very good in between commas. He was very well trained to the drug war here, but he was tired. He was tired of it, and he's shown in the movie and showed.
mm-hmm.
He started a different program here. All that he does is to go to the universities and schools and companies and to talk to have a conversation. He created this program, the prevention program inside the police. It was very
Wow.
good for them to see that they can do different. He was not a special agent. He just broke the inside structure. He created a new thing. In the movie and this program that he created, they prove that we can create new and different things from inside. That was a good. That's why we had a good feedback on this congress.
That's amazing. I mean, that is just a perfect example of how a film, a piece of art can really also make such a practical difference in outlook and in scope of problems. I take my hat off to you for that. That's an amazing achievement, really. That's any artist can ever hope for to get as a feedback from any piece of art that they're making. So well done, really. I mean it.
Take
my hat off.
Thank you.
Now that we've talked about all of this and what all is going on, like, how do you see this will play out? Like, let's stay a little bit with the Corona crisis. Also, like, how do you think? What is your outlook? What is your projection of that? Let's say in the near future, a year, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say 5.
Okay,
it's a long time though. I mean, yeah.
I think we are going to enter in a different era that we are going to worry about only about the essential things in every area. What's important for you, what's really important for you and for our society to work to improve, to go forward as a society. We are very selfish society in general until now, and I really think that we are going to review. We are going to rethink how we are living, and we are going to start thinking about what is really essential. I am something like 40 days at home without going out. Why do I really need? Why do I need a car? Why do I need? I need some. I need wine, beer, food. I need some friends. Why do I really need new? I need this car in my garage. No, I don't need it. Do I really need new fancy clothes? No, I don't need it. I think that's why it's going to
change our focus.
Yeah, it's going to change our focus for as a society in general. But I think in our area, in cultural area, we are going to improve a lot. We are going to we are going to rethink what we are doing. I think we have to think about making things that has sense to society. The challenge of making something happen will increase the level of the productions, because as people is starting watching lots of cultural issue, you're going to watch movies, series, and things like that. A lot of people making those things. We have to improve our speech, our way of writing, our way of production, because only the best things are going to be seen. I like it a lot. It's a little bit scary because I know that I'm not that good yet. I hope so, that we here in Brazil specifically, we find a way to produce our movies. We had lots of stories to tell. We had a lot of different layers of our society to show to the world. And I really think that we are going to increase the level of production, because we have to tell those stories, but we have to tell those stories in a very good quality way, to be in the same level of the best production in the world.
So basically also, this is how sometimes opposites work with each other. Like, because of the state that Brazil is in, it is also generally a motivation to keep on creating your work, right? It is connected, I suppose.
Yeah, completely, totally.
Yeah. If you just saw a happy society where everything is fine, you probably would also be a little less motivated to find the stories that tell something of an alternative, possible alternative reality or an unknown reality.
Yeah, yeah. If we had the perfect society, what kind of story they are going to tell? I think I like to watch The Crown, for example, the Netflix series.
Oh, I love The Crown.
Yeah,
You're running in open doors here. What a great series. Anyway, yes.
Very well done, very well written, but
very well written, very well told. Like, the production value of that series, it's all like, like movie stuff. Yeah. It's just so good. So good.
Yeah, very good. But if you look at the issue of each episode, there was one entire episode that they were talking about the name of the guy. What's her name you're going to? Because they don't have fun, not even a problem. They don't have problem, so they leave. I like to watch the royal family, and I can imagine the Charles waking up every day and imagine, oh, is this today my mother died? Oh no. The only thing that the guy wonders is his mother to die. It's crazy. It's
crazy. But this is a very interesting closing point, because this whole time now we've really been and I think good that we did, but we've been talking about poverty, we've been talking about racial segregation and so on, and this is the magnificence of the series as well. And I realized that when I watched it, and it brings me back something that I said earlier in another conversation to you as well. The first failed podcast that never made it. I mean, everybody can know that. That like, when people are happy, they're all happy in the same way, but all families are unhappy in different ways. I think that's the opening of Tolstoy's Anna Karenina, which is just me showing off here, very, very big time.
Perfect. We have to listen to those guys.
Yeah, exactly. But that's exactly what it does. When you watch that series, it's a life of privilege. It's a life of financial wealth. They actually have no material worries. And nonetheless, throughout the series, you feel that their problems are also justified. Like, you feel, you never shake your head and you're like, yeah, those royals, really, just get a grip. What problems do you really have? That would also obviously be a terrible approach to any story to tell. But this is the magnificence of it. And I think this is what I take away from it. Like, it is also very easy to just judge the privileged and to judge the wealthy people. And I think judgment is never good. It will never get us anywhere. It is just in seeing the differences and pointing them out and giving visions of how that can be improved, which is much more helpful than just sitting there and pointing a finger and saying, yeah, you guys, what you're doing is terrible. If what they're doing is terrible, yes, say it, but don't do it in a way where you put them all in one drawer and you don't differentiate anymore. And this is what that series really brought home to me in a very, very big way. And that's why I like it very much. And that's why I recommend to everybody to watch it. And I think this is a nice kind of circle now that we've made in this podcast also. Very much.
Perfect, man. Yeah.
Today we could speak for hours. I have so much fun talking to you, Leo. But I will now release you into the night, even though I think it's evening, it's night here. Have you finished that Caipirinha, by the way? Oh, I still hear ice somewhere in my glass. You just had the last gulp of water, really, right? Hoping there would still be some sort of alcohol in there, right? Some little bit of taste. Did you get any, or was it really just water?
Oh, it was Caipirinha, and I did it, all of it.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me, Leo. It was a wonderful journey with you tonight. I learned a lot. And I hope I'll have you back again sometime on the show with a new film.
Thank you very much, man. It was a pleasure for me. It's it was. I learned a lot with you also, and of course, sorry for my poor English, but I think you can understand.
Just great.
And I really hope we can talk again very soon.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you so, so much. This was the very first episode of the Yellow Van Stories. Thank you so much for listening and coming along on its first ride. If you like what you hear and you want to chip in a little bit of petrol money, you can go to patreon.com/yellowvanstories. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode, keeping your seat and cooling that imaginary beverage of your choice. Until then, stay healthy, keep loving, and always remember, we're all in this together. Now, take it away, Jim.
It took a long, long time from empire's rise to falling skies. But unless we're here and the world is ready for new ideas, and I know my attitude disturbs you, and so it should. And I know my fantasies are troubling to those like you. Took a very, very long time. But my message is clear. Keep loving in the face of fear. Keep shouting that you are here. Talking about those ideas. Loving whether far or near. Oh, can you find your place when kaleidoscopes are breaking shape? There's a dream I breathe, gone loving man and those in need. And I know my attitude disturbs you, and so it should. And I know my fantasies are troubling to those like you. Took a very, very long time. But my message is clear. Keep living in the face of fear. Keep shouting that you are here. Talking about those ideas. Loving whether far or near. Loving in the face of fear. Shouting that you are here. Loving in the face of of your life. Are you standing for your rights? It's gonna fight.